everyone, my name is Love and welcome back to my channel. In this channel, I am sharing most of my experience being an immigrant here to Canada. How did I get here? What are the process I took to survive and become the nurse that I always wanted to be, the main reason why I wanted to go here to Canada. I have not shared yet what are my survival jobs when I started here in Canada. Aside from that, I also want to share my hourly rate. So what is my salary when I started working here in Canada? So for my background, I came here in 2018 and I did not had a job for 2 months. I started my seminar at the Manitoba start, and then there I get this paid training. So the government was paying us, like supporting us to get training so that we can get Canadian experience, work experience, because here in Canada it's very important. And like if you're applying for job, one of the factors of probability of you to get hired is if you have a Canadian experience. And you know, the downside of being an immigrant is that of course you came here to Canada without any Canadian experience. The only experience that you have is from back home. They will consider what was your profession or what was your job when you are in your home country or in another country. So for me, I worked as a registered nurse in the Philippines, and then I also worked in United Arab Emirates. So those are my work experience. Going here to Canada, of course, the field that I want to be in is also on medical field because I really don't have any other work experience aside being a nurse. During the Manitoba start, I got placed in personal care home for 3 months, 2 to 3 months, and I am training to become a healthcare aide. But during that time, I did not feel that being a healthcare aide was for me because I did not had a good experience when I was doing my training. If you take course to become a healthcare aide, I think they will pay you $18 per hour. And it's a good money to start. It's gonna cover your living expenses. I did not like it for some personal reason, and one of the reason was I got punched by a resident, a patient, and I got traumatized because it was my first time being punched by a patient who has dementia. And at that moment, starting life here in Canada, and then I don't have a support system yet, like a strong support system yet, I got a little, I'm not gonna say I'm depressed, but I got a little sad, and I'm just like thinking like, why am I even here? After that placement training, I was lucky to have a friend from back home who encouraged me to apply to her work as an ophthalmology technician or assistant. So for me, having a medical background, it is an advantage for me because I already know medical terms, and I did some volunteering in an eye clinic when I was in the Philippines, and all through the help of that friend, I applied to this clinic, this eye clinic. But I started as medical assistant, a doctor's assistant, meaning I am answering phone call, scheduling patients, scheduling surgeries, assisting doctors when they are in the clinic, filling in rooms, filling in rooms with patients so that the doctor can see the patient during their clinic days. And I started that work having a rate of $15 per hour. It's $2,400 per month, and in a year is $28,800 excluding the tax. So of course there are taxes that you need to pay here in Canada. So the $28,800 minus the taxes that I need to pay and all the deductions. And then after 3 months, I moved in a position as an ophthalmic technician. I waited for that vacancy. That's why I became a medical assistant first. And then when I transitioned to an ophthalmic technician, the starting rate was 17, and then after a year, I got an increase, and my rate was $18 per hour. So $18 per hour, it's gonna be $2,880 per month, and for a year, it's $35,560 excluding the taxes. So that's a really increase in my salary, which is I am happy about. I worked there for 5 years in that rate, and because like I can say that $18 per hour really paid my bills. After 5 years, I had an opportunity to come with one of the doctors in that clinic because he opened up his private clinic and I joined them. So fortunately, when I transitioned there, they gave me a rate of $24 per hour, and I was so happy. $24 per hour, it's gonna be 3,840 per month and 46,080 annually without taxes and deductions. The difference between the gross and the net salary are a lot. So I worked there for 1 year, having the rate of $24 per hour. And yes, it does help with my living. I can pay my living expenses, and I am able to set aside money for retirement, for paying off my debt and my wants and needs. So after a year, I went back to school for 1 year to go back to challenge my profession as a nurse. I was under employment insurance, EI. I was earning less than what I make from my last work, and I think I was only getting around 2,100 per month from EI, and so it was like a struggle for 1 year. But I was thinking, like, if this is gonna increase my income after I finish that school and after I become a nurse, I will sacrifice that 1 year. That is what was my survival job, and it's gonna be different from every profession because for me, I really focused on finding a job that is close to my profession as a nurse, because my main goal here is to really become a nurse. And those experience being a medical assistant, doctor's assistant, ophthalmology technician helped me to easily transition from there to becoming a nurse. And I built my skills more especially with talking to family members, talking to patients, and how the Canadian medical environment works. So I can really say that I was very intentional when I was looking for a job here. Personally, if I can find a job that is related to my career as a nurse while surviving here to Canada, like the survival job, why not focus on the medical field? Network people. There are a lot of Facebook groups that you can find. My one main advice is it doesn't matter if you started low, like income wise, as long as you pay attention on how you spend money. It doesn't matter how small your salary is, but it is how you spend your money and how are you being intentional on how you use your income and to live here in Canada. Also, if you feel to yourself that you're just starting this job for you to survive and you have a long-term goal, always think about what's your long-term goal, because it's very easy to get discouraged if, like, for example, I'm a nurse back home, but here in Canada, I'm working in Tim Hortons or McDonald's. But always think that even if you're working in those stores or those work that you didn't like, but is it paying you to survive here in Canada? Or are the skills that you're gonna get from there will help you when you reach your goal in the future? So, there's always sacrifices, there's always hardships, there's always, you're not gonna like your situation at the moment, but always think of the long-term goal. So that's it for this video, and if you have any suggestions on what topics you want me to cover based on my personal experience, because for me, I mostly share my personal experience, but this is just like giving you an insight of like someone who've been there and what are their personal experience, and then also you will do your due diligence to make research on your own. But yeah, so I hope that this video is helpful, and see you again next time. Bye.